Someone Better by I_am_Ellie on AO3. Episode 10, Chapter 8, Ignoramus. It was one of their few days off from their hectic schedule. Sunday. Hisashi's radio show didn't play on Sunday, and Shota's boss was a firm believer in the fact that no one should work on that day. He had no such qualms against working on Saturday, but Shouta wouldn't complain. It was one of those quiet Sunday mornings, where everything was slow, like melting butter, and it was quiet for once. No yelling from Izuku, no talking from Hizashi, not even a sound coming from the TV, just quiet. Shouta took a sip of his coffee, and tried to revel in the calmness and quiet of the morning for as long as he could. Izuku was, presumably, still sleeping, and Hizashi, not wanting to wake up the boy, had just put his breakfast in the microwave before joining Shouta at the table. And it was nice, because Hizashi held his hand while they ate and smiled at him warmly every once in a while, like he was just happy from seeing Shouta, and it made something nice and warm spring up in his chest. And then it was broken by a single, piercing shriek, followed by stuttering crying. It didn't take long for Hizashi and Shouta to quickly push away from the table, Shouta fearing the worst. Had a villain snuck in? Was he hurt? Would he be able to take him to the hospital if he was hurt? When they crashed through Izuku's bedroom door, they found the boy on the floor. He was pouting and frustrated, and painted tears were running down his face. He was holding a spot on his forehead, which was bright red, but other than that, he looked fine. What happened? Hizashi asked, moving Izuku's hand away from the spot before tilting the boy's chin up and glancing at his pupils. Izuku sniffled and let out a choked-off sound. Shouta knew that the boy always made that sound before he started crying. Calm down, child, Shouta said. You're all right. Tell us what happened. I was trying to do flips like you, he wailed. And then I hit my head on the dresser. The 5-year-old glared at the piece of furniture. You were trying to do flips, Shouta asked. You can't just do flips without knowing how, especially in such a closed-off space. It's not safe. You said you teach me gymnastics, but you're busy. So I wanted to learn to do flips, but by myself, so I could be a hero like you and Unky Hizashi and all my and he wailed loudly. Child, if you really wanted to learn all that, you should have just reminded me. I would have found time. Shouta said, feeling slightly guilty. That was silly. That was silly. You acted silly. He wasn't sure if he should say the word stupid in front of a child. Izuku looked just as upset by being described as silly. But you're always tired, he said. And you're always working, 'cause Mommy's funeral cost so much, and... He looked down and rubbed at his eyes. I don't want to bother you. Shouta frowned. Bother him? Why would Izuku asking to learn about gymnastics bother him? He made the offer in the first place, a few months ago. He looked over to Hizashi. Hizashi looked closer to tears. Shouta looked back to Izuku. I apologize, Shouta said, for calling you silly, and I apologize for making you think that you asking me to teach you gymnastics would bother me. Izuku frowned at him. You don't gotta say sorry, Izuku said. That's not... No, child, Shouta said. If I did anything to make you feel like asking me to teach you gymnastics would bother me, then I'm not doing my job right. Because my job, above all else, is to take care of you. That's why I signed all those papers. And why I got all these jobs to take care of you. And if teaching you how to do flips or a cartwheel or anything, it's a part of taking care of you, then that's what I'll do. Shouta shrugged. His hands gripped his elbows. He barely shared what he thought like that, and never to Izuku. He didn't do heart-to-hearts much, except with Hizashi, occasionally. He hoped he's gotten his point across. He saw Hizashi shaking the corner of his eye, and knew that his boyfriend was crying now, because of course he was. So you'll teach me flips and cartwheels? Izuku asked hopefully. Shouta had to stop himself from rolling his eyes, because of course that's the part a 5-year-old would focus on. Yes, child, Shouta said. That is what I said. Izuku grinned, darting forward towards him. Careful, careful. He heard Hizashi cry out, just before Izuku crashed into him and wrapped his arms around his leg. The wrong leg. Shouta had to stop himself from crying out as he felt the familiar pain spark up in his knee. Izuku, of course, was utterly oblivious as Shouta started leaning against the doorway slightly to keep from falling. Sue, baby, maybe you should... No, he's... Shouta cleared his throat. He's fine. He patted the boy's curly green hair, and Izuku let go of his leg and smiled up at him sweetly. How about you go eat your breakfast with Hizashi while I go do something? Shouta said. But you said... I will, child. Shouta said. He needed to sit down. Just later, not right now. You have to eat first, yes? Izuku nodded. That makes sense. Okay, Unky. He darted out of the room, heading towards the dining room. Shouta heard a chair drag across the floor. You all right, Sho? Hizashi asked. His eyes were still red, and his arms outstretched in front of him, like he was expecting Shouta to fall. I am fine. I'm perfectly fine. Don't worry about me, Hizashi. Really? Because you look like you're about to... I'm fine, Shouta said through gritted teeth. I think I just need to sit down. Okay, if you say so. Shouta walked out of the bedroom, past the kitchen, where he tried not to make it obvious to Izuku that he was in pain, and into the living area. He practically collapsed onto the couch, Takara jumping on beside him. His leg was outstretched in front of him, feeling stiff and still aching sharply. He could hear Hizashi in the kitchen, reminding Izuku to be careful of Shouta's injury. He ran his fingers through Takara's soft fur. Damn that villain. Izuku ran into the room as soon as he was done eating, leaving Hizashi to deal with the cleanup. He was bouncing in place as he stood in front of him, looking eager. All right, Shouta said, sitting up slightly. I need you to clear space in here. Move the table, the chairs, all that. Izuku nodded, moving the coffee table against the far wall, as well as the armchairs. Shouta took him through all the steps Shouta's instructor had taught him. Safety first and foremost, before moving on to the actual physical part of gymnastics. By the time they were done, Izuku could manage a roll across the floor, and the beginnings of doing it backwards, without much trouble. The boy looked at him directly after completing the roll. I did it! Unky Sho! He crowded excitedly. I really did it! Did you see that? That was so much fun! Quiet down, child, Shouta said. We have neighbors, and the yelling was starting to make his ears hurt, but he didn't say that. Izuku looked a little bit subdued. But yes, you did a good job. Hizashi ran forward from where he was standing in the doorway, grabbing the boy and spinning him slightly. You did such a good job, Izuku, Hizashi said. The boy giggled madly as Hizashi held him, gripping the man's neck tightly. Hizashi set him down. Whoa, Izuku said, tilting back and forth slightly. I'm dizzy. He fell onto his back. Hizashi snickered, darting forward and tickling his stomach mercilessly. There were tears streaming from the boy's eyes. Stop, Ankisashi! What's the magic word, little listener? Hizashi asked, continuing his assault. Please stop! Okay, fine, Hizashi said, backing up. The boy curled up onto his side, holding his stomach and still giggling. Shouta saw Hizashi quickly take a picture with his phone. Izuku slowly sat up, wiping at his face, shoulders still shaking with the remnants of his laughter. He looked up at Shouta and smiled happily. Anki Sho, can we keep learning? I want to learn another flip. You have to learn the first one, Cabbage, Shouta said. You did good, but there's still stuff you need to work on. You want to be a hero, right? Izuku nodded, viciously. A hero is only as good as their abilities, and since you don't have a quirk, your physical abilities will have to be better than everyone else's. Yes? Izuku nodded, still smiling, before it fell slightly. Do you think I can really be a hero without a quirk? I think anyone can be a hero, Cabbage, Shouta said honestly. Izuku frowned. There's never been a quirkless hero before, he said, frowning. Shouta really did roll his eyes that time. Then just be the first. Izuku blinked at him, startled. What? Nothing, just thank you. Shouta said, feeling awkward. Doesn't matter if you don't have a quirk. Plenty of heroes have pretty useless quirks for battle, and they do fine, alright? If anyone says that you can't be a hero without a quirk, they're a thick-headed ignoramus. Izuku blinked. Ignoramus means an ignorant or stupid person. Izuku nodded. Am I allowed to call someone an Ignoramus? Izuku pronounced the word Ignoramus, and Shouta heard Hizashi weasel from where he was standing. Absolutely not. Aww. By dinner, Izuku had improved exponentially, and Shota's leg had finally stopped hurting. He was lucky he didn't have patrol that night, honestly. What Shouta and Hizashi hadn't known was that once Shouta taught him to do a simple roll, he would start rolling where he wanted to go instead of walking, which was unexpected, admittedly. Shouta couldn't quite remember doing that as a child. First, he rolled from the living room to the table. Then he rolled from the floor onto the chair. Thankfully, he gave up and just climbed onto it. Then, he rolled back into the living room and started rolling around the room everywhere, while Hizashi and Shouta watched a movie on TV. You remember that old video game with the blue hedgehog? Hizashi whispered to Shouta. Shouta hummed. I think that's what he's going for. Child, Shouta called to Izuku. Izuku stopped rolling and looked at him. Please stop rolling everywhere. Izuku pouted at him. You told me to practice. Izuku protested. I didn't mean to use it as a form of transportation. Your head is going to start hurting from the floor soon. What's transportation? Someone or something moving from one place to another. Okay. He went back to rolling. Child. It was a bit of a lengthy process to get the child to settle down. Izuku, just sit down. Cabbage, please. Sue, for God's sake, get down from there. But Anki... The worst thing was trying to get him to sleep. He was simply too excited about his newfound ability to go down. Shouta had to read to him. Hizashi had sung. They'd given him stuffed animals, warm milk, everything they could think of. Then, when his eyes had finally closed and he had gone down and Shouta and Hizashi had returned to their movie, they still heard him rolling around in the room. By the time he was really, truly asleep, it was 10 p.m. Hizashi and Shouta were exhausted, and Shouta was idly considering jumping out of the nearest window. I never want children, Hizashi said, throwing the extra pillows on their bed aside. Never. That was hell. That was the purest definition of hell. You already have a child. Technically, You're the one who has guardianship over him, Hizashi said as he climbed into bed. I'm just around for the ride. If you think you're getting out of helping me raise him, I'm not saying that, Hizashi said. Relax, I'm just saying, in the future, if we get married or whatever, please, no more children. That I can agree with, Shouta said, climbing into bed beside him. Getting custody of a 5-year-old changed the way we do things. Imagine another one. Hizashi snickered. Yeah, like, we can't drink anymore. We can't watch movies that aren't above PG-13. Our schedules are different. Can't go out with Nemuri as much, Shouta added. Less sleep, no more naps, can't swear. Not that I swear a lot, but you and Nemuri must be struggling. Hizashi barked a laugh. Yeah, that's true, he said. He hummed. You want to know another thing we haven't been able to do much since Izuku? He asked. There was a hand on Shota's face, Hisashi's thumb stroking over his cheekbone. Can't do that, Shouta protested. The child will hear. He's asleep, Hizashi reminded him, and Shouta hummed. That was true. There was a hand on his hip now, and Hizashi was pulling him closer. Just before their lips touched, the sound of a child rolling across the floor of his room and hitting the wall. God damn it. This was such a light-hearted episode, so I'm sorry to do this to you. Psychology corner. Get your your little thinking caps on, get your little glasses on, get your notebook out. We're about to talk about psychology here. So specifically, I want to talk about Izuku's relentlessness, his inability to tell Aizawa that he made a promise, like to tell Aizawa, hey, you told me that you were going to teach me gymnastics and you never taught me gymnastics, right? Now, this could be stemming of multiple things, but I think the main stem of this is to not be a bother. Obviously, Izuku said it himself, I don't want to bug you. But I feel like it goes a little deeper than this. Izuku does not want to bug him and put even more on his plate, knowing that he's already tired. Underlying that tiredness, let's remind you what happened to his mother. He doesn't want to add more onto Shota's pile in fear of Shouta doing what his mother did, dying. His batteries dying, you know? He doesn't want that to happen. So instead of putting onto his plate, he's trying to take out of his plate. In the sense of, okay, you're tired, you're busy, I'm gonna do it myself so that it's one less thing you need to worry about. For him, he was doing him a favor. Not only, I don't want to be a burden, but I don't want to be the reason that you're even more tired, leading to your batteries dying. In a sense, Izuku is doing that gymnastics by himself to prevent Shouta from, his batteries dying, quote unquote, because we both know that's not what happened. Which is sad. It's sad. This mindset that he needs to do it, and the fact that, obviously Izuku's been helping around with chores as well. The fact that he's okay with doing, trust me, getting a 5-year-old to do chores is fucking hard. I would know, especially a neurodivergent child to do chores. I'm sorry. My brother has ADHD. Getting him down to do chores is a fucking tassel. I tried doing the whole board of points where it's like, okay, these are your chores. These are your listed chores you need to do. I put cleaning toys. So what does he do when we put him to go clean the living room? He cleans the toys, right? And then he refuses to do anything else because my chores are clean the toys. It's what it says on the board. You can't change it up. What was that? Mom told me to clean everything? No, look at the board. The board is the gospel. I tried adding help clean living room, but he went, no, I do help by cleaning the toys. Fucking Jesus Christ. it's a hassle trying to get him to clean because it is engraved in his mind that one of the rules now is that he cleans only the toys. It's one of the rules, and it's engraved into his being. It is engraved into his being. It is fundamentally engraved in there. There is no taking it out. And you know what? That was my bad. I did that. That was my bad. I probably should have not been so open with the way I wrote down the chores. Instead of clean toys, I should have put clean living room or help clean living room instead of just clean toys. That was my bad. That was a my bad on my part. Sorry. So now it's engraved on him that he can only clean the toys. So trust me, as someone who has had 3 siblings before in the past, I know how difficult it is to get kids to do chores. I know my sister who is neurotypical, or at least we think she's neurotypical. Hold up, is she? This family is filled with a lot of neurodivergents. For all we know, she could be neurodivergent, and she's just flown under the radar. But for now, we're running under the assumption that she is neurotypical. And she, what's it called? She's also a hassle to do her chores. She's 8, so she's a little less of a hassle. Trust me, she was way more of a hassle around 5 and 4. Especially because they're barely getting out of that stage of life and stage of development where they're testing boundaries. And it's literally the stage of where they're stop the testing of the boundaries. And if you put a boundary, they're more likely to respect it now. Especially at how old she is now. She's 8, so if we set up a boundary, she can respect it sometimes not. Again, it's an 8-year-old. What are we gonna do? So sometimes she does clean, sometimes she doesn't, but when she was 5, I still remember how hard it was to get her to clean stuff. I don't really remember how hard it was to get my brother when he was 5, the oldest one. Or not the oldest one, I'm the oldest one, but the second oldest one. To clean and stuff when he was 5. Mainly because I was 8 at the time, so... Yeah, no, I wasn't 8 at the time, I was like 10. Yeah, no, I was a demon to clean as well. But then again, we never had the living room as dirty as the kids do now. Like, imagine having 2 kids who play with toys like it's no tomorrow. When back then, when me and my little brother were little, all we had to clean was making sure there was no what are those the bottles, baby bottles, on the floor or thrown because the child, our little sister, would like to throw it, or like to finish drinking it and then throw it. And apart from that, toys, we were pretty good at keeping our toys where they were supposed to. I know I was a very hassler for keeping my toys where it was supposed to be. I would be very, very picky. I didn't like when my toys were touched without my permission. And my toys were not played with in the normal sense of how you play with toys. No. Plus, most of my toys consist of, what was those called? Shopkins? Whatever. Point taken is, the whole... I'm going back into Psychology Corner. I don't know why I went on a whole tangent. The whole point of Psychology Corner is the fact that children cleaning is a hard task to achieve. Don't get me wrong, there are some children out there who like to clean, who do clean when they're supposed to. Alright? Alright? None of my siblings are one of them. I'm not one of them. My room's a mess right now, okay? I was supposed to do laundry a week ago and I haven't done laundry. I mean, like, I could go another couple weeks without doing laundry. I have clothes. My problem is that is 2 wash loads right there that I just have sitting there instead of, you know, going. I always do it at the last fucking minute when it's like, oh, I only got 1 pair of shirt and like 2 pairs of pants. I think it's time to do laundry, and it's like 4 baskets of laundry that I have to do, and all in one day. I always fuck myself like that. And then it's always around those times that we're like, oh, we're going out for holiday, or we're going to do this, or we're going to do that, so you gotta dress fancy. Dress fancy? All I got is sweatpants, those pants that I'm not even sure fit me, and this shirt that says shirt. I'm not ready to go fancy anywhere, right? Anywhere. The only thing that's clean apart from these are freaking dresses that look like dresses you would take to, what's it called? To a wedding. Anyways, point taken is, it's really hard to get children to sit down and clean. So the fact that Izuku is, 1, he's doing his chores. 2, he's doing all this. All of this he's doing not because, like, he's probably a child who's cleanly. Trust me, the way he eats does not say that. He's doing this in the sense of, I want to take the load off of Uncle Sho and make sure that he doesn't end up with low batteries like my mom. That's basically his mindset. Trying to prevent people from leaving him. And this is early signs of people pleasing. Think about it. Think about it. Really think about it. Kids' sign of people pleasing is small things like this. Oh, let me do the chores for you so that you're not tired. Oh, let me do this for you so you're not this. Oh, let me do that for you so you're not this. Which, don't get me wrong, that's not a bad mindset to have. It's a bad mindset when it starts overriding your own physical well-being. Let me do this for you even though I don't like it, or even though this tires me out and I'm tired and I've been doing chores all day. You know, so far he hasn't exhibited any of the problematic behaviors of people-pleasing, because the biggest problematic behavior with people-pleasing isn't how they affect others, it's how they affect themselves. You know, it's the biggest problem with people-pleasing. They're great people. Don't get me wrong. They're anything but selfish. They think of you all the time, and they have your best thought in mind. Like, they always have the best thought for you. They want to help you. The problem lies that they no longer help themselves, and that wears them out, that tires them out, and that could cause huge, major complications down the road, right? People pleasing is they tire themselves out. They are more likely to be manipulated by manipulators and narcissists because they're easy targets, right? They're easy targets. Just tell them something, they'll do it. Validate them a little, they'll do it. Insult them and they'll still stick around you because you know what? They're people pleasers. They're what I like to call welcome mats. I'm sorry to you people pleasers out there for calling you welcome mats, but you are fucking welcome mats. I know. I would know. I used to be a welcome mat. Get out of that cycle. Think about yourself, right? You cannot help others. I know this is cliche, but you cannot help others if you do not help yourself. And here, don't think of it like, oh, I can't think of myself because I'm going to be selfish. Think of it in this way. How are you going to help that one person who is your best friend or your significant other that you love so much when this other person in your life is manipulating you because you're trying to please them? The best way for a people pleaser to stop people pleasing tendencies is to understand that sometimes you have to cut your losses. You can't make everyone like you. It's hard. It's a hard bullet to bite, but not everyone's going to like you. There's going to be people out there who hate you for no fucking reason, right? Or for some stupid little thing that they decided to hold a grudge on, or they just don't like you simply because they just don't vibe with your vibe. They don't have anything bad against you. You're probably a good person and they probably don't see you as a horrible person, but you're just not their vibe, you know? Sometimes things happen, stuff goes on, and it is what it is. It is what it is. And that is such a hard mindset to get into, especially when you're a people pleaser who is constantly trying to get validation from everyone else. The best thing for people pleasers is to pick your people you want to please. You can't please everyone. And hell, make sure you do some things for yourself as well. You know, start slow, right? Pick people to please, right? Don't please everyone. Pick people that you trust will not overmind you. Pick them. Please them, and slowly start building your self-esteem. I'm not saying go from one day people-pleasing everyone to the next day people-pleasing no one. No, that is hard. That's impossible. It's like expecting an addict to completely go sober immediately after realizing I'm an addict. No one's completely sober. No. Even those who are getting sober, they have relapses. Relapses are a thing. Relapses are normal. It's what happens after the relapse. Right? Just like I'm saying, you're not gonna mess up, and you know, you're gonna mess up. You're gonna accidentally people please someone that's not on your people pleasing okay list. And don't feel bad. That's just a little relapse, right? That's just a little healing. As I've said before, it's not a linear process. It is a complicated maze that fucks you over. Then it's a fucking complicated maze. But yeah. End of, psychology corner, back onto regular corner. I found that ending really interesting. The freaking, we can't do that, the child will hear he's asleep, and then they hear Izuku awake. And just, I don't know who says God damn it, but I feel like it would be Hizashi being like, God damn it. Because he's like, I just started this. We haven't done this in a while. Why did you take it away from me? Why? They need a date night. They need a night where Nemuri just comes, like, don't worry. I'll take care of the child. You two, go have fun. I want you back at 3 a.m. You hear me? 3 a.m. You know what? Fuck it. 8 a.m. All right? Back at 8 a.m. So, yeah. As always, my raindrops, make sure to eat, sleep, drink water, take your meds. Have a wonderful day or night. Link to my Discord server and socials are down in the description. Subscribe to see more of my content, and thank you so much for watching.